Hey, good evening and welcome to Freedom Speech and You. I'm Ken. I'm hosting tonight. A bit of a surprise to me, a surprise to most of you that didn't read the Discord, but now you know. So, not to belittle the point, but basically on June 12th, a bump appeared on my neck. And on June 12th, it wasn't much of a bump. Didn't even really know what it was. But it was precursor to cancer because it's become a lot more. 2 weeks ago, when we convened here on Sunday, I believe, didn't really convene because we were here a week ago. But 2 weeks ago, I had just got out of the hospital. So instead of being here on Sunday, being able to do this show, I don't believe we did this show 2 weeks ago. And a week ago, Andrea stepped in and did this show. Excuse me, I am going to cough because that's one of the side effects of this. So you just have to be tolerant of that. So I was behind the scenes running the show when you saw Andrea host the show and when you saw Benny Loco come on. And eventually when Boston Brian made it on, because Boston Brian was the book guest for that night. So I could go on and on and on and on. But here's the short synopsis. When you see this thing on my neck, you see it's pretty huge. Okay. That's what's on my neck. That's the outward sign of the cancer. That's got to be treated with radiation. But there's cancer on the inside, and tests that are going to be done are going to determine where exactly that cancer started. It either started in the right lung or it started in the esophagus area. And so tests are going to determine where it started so that the chemotherapy, or let's just call it chemo because it's a lot easier to say chemo, and radiation can be targeted as needed. So in the next week or a few days beyond that, I'm looking at the test being done. I'm looking at a port being installed so that chemotherapy can be delivered. I'm looking at meeting the radiation oncologist for the first time. I've been working with the hematology oncologist. That's the one that delivers the chemo. Okay, so now let's do the usual things that we do. We welcome Nick Rich, 56, WW, Kelly Bonviant, bonjour. Aaron West, thank you. And Trucker John, thank you. So why am I hosting tonight? Originally, Andrea was supposed to host tonight, and I would still be running things behind the scenes. But there was some last-minute need for Andrea to do something. So she'll be here in her regular capacity shortly. She wanted me to host for about an hour and give you a show. And I know that I had some content sent to me by WW, and I had some stuff that I wanted to talk about. And I can pull up stuff if I have to, or I can just talk about it. Because the biggest thing going on right now in Florida is Ron DeSantis trying to say that slavery benefited those who were enslaved. And he's going around saying stuff like that. He wants to deny all of the equity initiatives in the Democratic Party. He wants to deny everything that happened as a result of slavery. He wants to denigrate everything that's ever been done to bring equity to the races. And if he's going to do that to the people of color, he's certainly going to do it to other people too. You do have people in his party speaking out. Tim Scott is one of them. And the other is, I believe his name is Hurd. He was on Meet the Press this morning. He's from Texas. He's also been speaking out first, but Tim Scott has joined him in that fight against letting Trump 2. Let's just call him Trumpy 2. Ron DeSantis spout this line of racism. DeSantis is trying to wipe out all of history. It would seem to me that DeSantis did not have an oath to the United States military, but instead made an oath to the United States Confederate Forces because the dude acts like a Confederate. So frustrating. So we have that going on. Hi, Casper Northerner. Welcome tonight. Little bit of housekeeping. There will be notices that go out over these channels. So the community for the YouTube, the Facebook page, and I will probably try to post a video to all three that just tells you where to go find the other channels. Because basically I have carved out the channels that I used to host this on. And Andrea has set up a new Twitch account. And you're going to see a Freedom Speech in You 2. So on YouTube, it will be at Freedom Speech in You 2. Let me do that. At Freedom Speech and You 2. The identities on Twitch have a tendency to be shorter. I don't know what Andrea got, but what we will get with Andrea, we will get this. So on YouTube, you'll put this in the search bar at Freedom Speech and You 2. If you actually load it from a browser, go to www.youtube.com/ at Freedom Speech and You 2 to get to Andrea's version of the channel and subscribe to that. On Facebook, put that in the search bar. Same thing, at Freedom Speech and You. And you can get to the page that's going to be Andrea's page. I'm in the process of transferring it now. But like I said, I'm not 100% sure about the Twitch account, so I'll have to get that straightened out. I'm getting Andrea set up so that she can run the channels on her own. So regardless of what happens with my health, whether I'm able to do a show or not able to do a show, we'll have a show each week, and one of us will host it. Depending on who's hosting it, the notices will go out to tell you where to find the show, and that should suffice. So that's the show background details. So Wes had this that he sent about Nikki Haley. I got to cue it up. Okay. Also, Andrea should have the equipment next week to actually Hang on a second, because I have to be sure. Okay, it is that one I want. Andrea will have the equipment next week, and she should be up and trained to be able to present videos, so that will help. So this is Nikki Haley on Face the Nation.
Spoke earlier with former UN ambassador and presidential hopeful Nikki Haley from Des Moines, Iowa, where she was campaigning yesterday. And we began by asking her whether the former president should face prosecution over mishandling of classified documents.
If these accusations are true, it's incredibly dangerous to our national security. But again, this is coming down from a Department of Justice that, frankly, the American people don't trust.
Two other defendants.
The only American people that don't trust the Department of Justice are the people on the Republican part of the aisle, with a few exceptions. Good evening, Fowler's Wrath. Just a few exceptions in the Republican Party that believe the justice system the way that we Democrats do.
It's named in this indictment, Carlos de Oliveira and Trump body man Walt Nauta were allegedly instructed to delete security camera footage. And the details in this indictment are very specific. It says just a day after Trump received the subpoena requesting the video, they went to the basement and looked at the security cameras. 2 days later, de Oliveira took aside a fourth employee, went through a basement tunnel to a small room, and asked about how many days the server retained footage from those surveillance cameras. He then told another employee the boss wanted the server deleted. Does that sound?
So there you have the evidence right there. You have the evidence that Trump asked for the stuff to be deleted.
Kosher to you?
No, I mean, none of that sounds good. The same way it didn't sound good when Hillary erased her emails. It doesn't matter if you're.
There's nothing to Hillary's emails, Nikki Haley. That stuff was all investigated. Will you stop? Will your party fucking stop? Don't you believe in the rule of law? Or do you even care about how you got elected? Because if you don't trust this system, then you didn't get elected. And you shouldn't even be talking. Getting so tired of you people constantly harping on Hillary. Hillary was exonerated. You can't keep digging it up. You can't make a mountain out of nothing. But you sure keep trying because your people are too fucking stupid to understand that she's exonerated.
You're a Republican or Democrat. It doesn't matter if you're Hillary or if you're Trump. You shouldn't be erasing anything unless you have.
You can erase what you can erase. You just wait till you want something gone and you don't want people to look into your stuff. You don't even know what was on Hillary's servers, ma'am. You're not a member of the administration that gets to investigate that. So shut the fuck up.
Something to hide, but everybody needs to be treated the same way. And that's what the American people are frustrated about. It's not that they don't want people.
Everybody is being treated the same way. The only people who don't believe that is your party because it gets you politically motivated and gets people to vote for you. But it's a fucking lie. Stop it. Stop lying. I wish your nose was like Pinocchio's so it could grow out to surround the entire earth with all these lies.
Held accountable. They just want everyone to be treated fairly. And right now, they don't trust the Department of Justice.
Do you trust?
I don't care whether your people trust it or not. It's all we got. It is incredibly accurate. Yes, there are people who screw up every once in a while, but one bad apple or a few bad apples don't spoil the whole bunch, girl. I'm going to be Osmond on you. Okay? Whenever something gets investigated that you want done, whenever somebody looks into Hunter Biden, you want to believe it all. Where is the same measure of justice for Donald John Trump.
That's the Department of Justice yourself.
If I become president, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make sure we clean up we'll clean it up from the top and all of senior management.
You better clean up your own act. You lie so damn much. I don't know how anybody can trust you to be president of the United States. I wouldn't trust you.
They have weaponized and put politics in the Department of Justice over years.
You've said in the past, though, you would be inclined to pardon Donald Trump. That assumes he'll be convicted. That assumes he had something to hide here. Has your position changed? Would you still pardon him?
Well, what I've said is if he is found guilty, that is certainly showing that it was dangerous to our national security. But I'll take you back to Nixon and Ford. I mean, I think that one of the things we have to look at is not what's in the best interest of, the president, but what's in the best interest of the country. We have to.
What's in the best interest of the country is to let that man rot in jail the moment he's convicted, because he will be guilty. He's innocent until proven guilty up to this point. But once he is proven guilty, he can rot in jail. Good evening, Rosebuds. Oh, Rosebud, I'm just sick of this crap. It goes on and on and on and on, day after day after day after day. And I have to do everything not to use a word that I don't want to use with her that would get me knocked off of YouTube. But really, I'm so sick of this crap every single day.
To move forward, we've got to quit living in the past. And I don't want there to be all of this division over the fact that we have a president serving years in jail over a documents trial. I want all of this to go away. It's why we have to have a new generational leader. It's why we need to move forward. We can't keep living with indictments and court cases.
A new generational leader. Can you actually lead this country? And that doesn't have anything to do with your gender, excuse me. It has to do with the fact, can you actually lead this country? If the phone rings in the middle of the night, will you actually be able to do what you have to do to preserve this country if it's under attack? I don't see you capable of doing that. I don't see you experienced enough. I see you still screwing around here, trying to win against Trump, but at the same time, make sure that you don't anger his voters by saying that you would pardon him if you think you can pardon him because you think that he was unjustly accused. That's not a president. That's a wishy-washy person who licks their finger, puts it up in the air, as one talk show host was bound to say, and see which way the wind blows. You know, the man blamed the Democratic Party for everything. And that's where all of you get it from, that man that's now dead. Thank God he's dead. But he was dead right on. Some people do put their licked finger up in the wind and see which way the wind blows to see which way they want to go on everything. They have no backbone. They don't care about the real safety and security of this country. Because if you cared about the safety and security of this country, you would be on the bandstand right now going, lock him up, prosecute him. You cannot tell me that on January 6th, you weren't worried to death that this country was over when that man did what he did. You have no spine. You come out and you just want to win over his voters because you think that when he finally gets put away in jail, then you can somehow, pick up the winnings that are left at the table. But you got to have a spine. You got to have a backbone. Hillary had a backbone. Hillary wasn't understood. But that woman had a backbone. She knew what was wrong with Donald Trump. She knew that he should never be in office. The only thing I wish I could do is go back in time and convince her to run like her president husband did and get every one of the 50 states electors to be voting for her instead of concentrating on what she thought she had to do to get the win. The only thing Hillary Rodham Clinton did wrong is she did not understand the need to get every single state vote. The only other thing she did wrong is she should have come out and she should have addressed all this bullshit that you're still talking about head on and said there was nothing to it. She wanted to talk about issues. She wanted to talk about what she was going to do. She was forward thinking. She was very good at what she was doing. But she had to win over the people that didn't understand what she was trying to do. And she had to win over the Bernie voters. That's the only mistake she made.
And vengeance of the past, we've got to start going forward. American people are.
She talks about vengeance of the past. What the fuck do you think you're talking about when you keep bringing up Hillary? You have a vengeance to get Hillary. Don't be duplicitous, Nikki Haley. If you want to say that you don't want to look at the vengeance of the past, then shut the fuck up about every race that happened before this and only concentrate on this race and only tell the American people why they should vote for you. Hillary Rodham Clinton is not running for president. She's not going to defeat Donald Trump while he is still a viable candidate. Just because of everything he has done to paint her as somebody who should not be elected. Not because she's done a single damn thing wrong, but because too much of the American people believe this hogwash bullshit that the GOP spews out every single day about her being guilty. She's not guilty. The only guilty person in a discussion between Hillary Rodham Clinton and Donald John Trump, is Donald John Trump. He still has the right to prove himself in court. We all do. But the evidence proves that he is guilty as it gets. And the people around him are as guilty as it gets.
We're not talking about these indictments.
You have said in the past.
We're not talking about these indictments. Motherfucker! That's all you do talk about. Jesus. It's all you ever talk about. You act like Donald John Trump is a persecuted person, like he's been persecuted on a cross. Well, he's not, and he doesn't even come close. And all of his comparisons of his life to the life of others are completely and totally bogus.
That you would support Donald Trump if he wins the nomination, but he can't win a general election. Do you think then that he should drop out?
While I think he was the right president at the right time, earlier, and why I think his policies were good, I don't think he's the right president at the right time going forward. I think we've got to move forward. We can't have a general election where we are handing it over to Kamala Harris because we're dealing with indictments and court cases and legal issues of President Trump.
So it would.
Then why don't you just shut up about him? All of that stuff is not going to change how his voters vote. Not one iota. His religiously tied to red hat wearing MAGA voters are going to vote for this dumb shit regardless. Because they are screwed up in their heads and they believe that he's their savior. They are screwed up in their heads. They believe that the entire United States government is corrupt. And they believe that he's the only thing that can change it. When in fact, he is the most corrupt entity that's ever been in the United States government. And he needs to be kept away from it.
Help you get your message out and Republicans get their message out if he drops out. Is that what you're saying?
Well, none of us want to be talking about indictments.
Yeah.
I don't even know if it's the third, fourth, or fifth indictment right now. But what I can tell you is it's a distraction. And frankly, the media is talking about it nonstop. But when I'm
going to stop her. I've had enough of that crap because a lady who keeps whining and complaining that the media keeps talking about it keeps talking about the damn indictments. My God, really, just stop. I've had enough of that. That just goes on and on and on and on and on. Okay, so let's go find Meet the Press. For 7/30, 2023. I hope you all are as fired up as I am. Yes. Hillary took the big blue wall for granted. Nickrich 56 says fake candidates are all the same, full of shit. Indeed they are. Get this thing where I can skip the ads.
Meet with the special counsel about a third indictment related to his efforts to overturn the 2020 election.
Every time people bring charges or indictments against him, he gets stronger.
I'll break down the legal developments with former FBI senior official Chuck Rosenberg and talk to one of the Republicans challenging Trump for the nomination, former Texas Congressman Will Hurd.
Donald Trump is running to stay out of prison.
Plus, impeachment trial balloon. As Hunter Biden...
Okay, so I'm going to roll up to that. You should look at this part yourself. You just
heard that in sharp contrast.
But this gentleman spoke today.
His mountain of legal problems, where President Trump is fighting and pushing back and obstructing. Hunter Biden's come forward, taken responsibility, paid his late taxes. As you just discussed with Chuck Rosenberg, I think the hiccup in the Delaware District Courthouse will get ironed out pretty quickly. And I don't think President Biden needs to say anything more than he has.
House Republicans are going to accuse him.
So that's Biden's campaign chair, and he did a really good job speaking up for Biden. Good evening, Tina, and good evening, Andrea. Tina, I'm hanging in there. Okay, so I think you should watch him if you go to YouTube and NBC News and pull up that, because I'm not going to talk about everything tonight, but he was very supportive for the president. He had a good, so that's Senator Chris Coons, the president's campaign manager. Sorry. Computer puts other stuff up when I'm trying to do stuff and gets in my way of my mouse.
Actually taking him on directly over his legal issues.
Donald
Bye,
Trump is not
Cranberoni.
running for president to make America great again. Donald Trump is running to stay out of prison.
Former Texas Congressman and Republican presidential candidate Will Hurd joins me next. Welcome back. Former Texas Congressman Will Hurd was one of 13 Republicans who made their case to Iowa voters on Friday night at their annual Lincoln Day dinner in Des Moines. He was the only one of the 13 to pointedly criticize Donald Trump for the charges against him, to audible gasps and boos in the room.
Donald Trump is not running for president to make America great again. Donald Trump is not running for president to represent the people that voted for him in 2016 and 2020. Donald Trump is running to stay out of prison. And if we elect, I know.
Well, former Republican Congressman Will Hurd of Texas joins me now. Congressman Hurd, welcome back to the press.
Okay, so you heard what he said. He said that Trump is not running for president. He's just running to stay out of jail. He's bold and he's willing to say that. And it is definitely the truth. So that's what we have going on. And at some point, this gentleman is going to talk about DeSantis as well. So I'm not exactly sure how far into the video. So let's just see.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
All right. You knew what you were doing when you went into that room. That was a prepared thing you did, not off the cuff. The reaction you got, was it as expected?
Of course it was as expected. I knew there were going to be people that didn't like it, but what I didn't expect was there were a lot of people that actually clapped, and then there were more people that just sat there politely and probably understand and knew what I was saying was the truth. My goal was not to go in there and talk to the people that, have been frustrated when they're told that the person that they respect has been lying to them. I was there to talk to the people that believe in personal responsibility, that believe character matters, that believe service matters, that believes that the United States has a role in the world and it's important to us back here at home. Those were the people that I was going to speak to, and also to prove to the rest of the field that we're running for an election. And if you're afraid to talk about Donald Trump or talk about his baggage, then you're not ready to be president of the United States. And that's why I need some help. I need folks to go to herdforamerica.com and at least help me with give me $1 so I can be on the debate stage.
So see the contrast there? See the contrast between him and Nikki Haley? He's saying we have to talk out against Trump. Whereas Nikki Haley is like, well, I don't think Donald Trump should be president, but I don't think we should be investigating him. We're just supposed to let that go away because that's a distraction. And somehow that's going to ensure that Kamala Harris become president, which I presume that theory is supposed to be that when Biden gets reelected, he's going to bow out or he's going to have to bow out. When in fact it is Trump that is mentally unstable. When in fact it is, if anybody is too old to be anything, it's Mitch McConnell, who froze on the floor this week. If that was not Mitch McConnell, if that had been an AI version of Mitch McConnell, we would have went, oops, the AI broke and the software broke. And oops, they found out that it's not really Mitch McConnell because he's not really here. But that was the real Mitch McConnell who froze on stage and had some kind of medical incident. But he denies it. At the same time, we have Democrat Senator Dianne Feinstein also there, up there speaking on the Senate floor and kind of rambling on about stuff that she was wanting to talk about instead of just giving the short speech that she was supposed to give. So we kind of sort of need to have some cognitive tests. We don't want to get to the point where we just say an age is the cutoff point, because there's nothing wrong with Joseph Robinette Biden. The man is still as sharp as a tack. He walks, he falls, he slips, whatever. He trips up a little bit because of all the athletic things he does, but he's still cognitively there. There's nothing wrong with him. But some of these people, we need to step in and say, hey, It's time to pull this person and elect somebody else, and make this thing work. So that's some of the things that we need to do. I'm going to go back to the video. Going to try to find the part that I'm interested in about DeSantis.
Last time you were here was before you were still trying to decide whether to do this or not. It happened in the week of the defamation suit, where it was ruled that Donald Trump would indeed not only defamed her, but the judge seemed to think that yes, he did rape her.
Okay, it should be closer to about here.
Defending the idea that slaves develop skills which in some instances could be applied for their personal benefit. That is exactly what the curriculum said in Florida. Senator Tim Scott took issue with it, and Ron DeSantis responded. Take a listen.
Slavery was really about separating families, about mutilating humans, and even raping their wives. It was just devastating. So I would hope that every person in our country, and certainly running for president, would appreciate that.
I think part of the reason our country has struggled is because DC Republicans all too often accept false narratives, accept lies that are perpetrated by the left, and to accept the lie that Kamala Harris has been perpetrating, even when that has been debunked.
The only DC anybody's that are out there telling lies, things that are debunked, are the GOP. They're the ones doing that. And every time the social media comes after them for their lies, they claim that they're being censored because they can't spread their lies. So that dude, Ron DeSantis, Florida's governor, is totally reprehensible. And as Andrea pointed out to me today when we were discussing today's show, he has made sure with his allies in the state house and senate that even if we don't elect him president, he can still stay governor of Florida and live out his term. And if he convinces enough people that he is right and everyone else is wrong, he can probably still get elected. And that is just totally disgusting, totally reprehensible. It used to seem that, Florida was a bad place. It is a bad place. I'm seeing stories today about a suburb of Clearwater, Florida, but it's happening all over the country, where whenever somebody wants property and they want to build something, be it a business, be it a school, be it apartments, homes, whatever, if they can find a place that is mostly unmarked graves, or if they can make it look like unmarked graves, they're taking the grave sites of people of color. I'm sure they have done this with Native Americans as well, so I will not forget them. And they've probably done it with every other race that has been disenfranchised by this country over the years in various places. They've taken their property. In some cases, they've moved the bodies. In some cases, they haven't moved the bodies. So in some cases, they moved the bodies and built this new property over a gravesite. In some cases, they didn't even move the bodies. They just bulldozed over them. Yes, this horrendous stuff is going on. Land that was originally given to people thought to be of little value, who have every right and equity that all of us have. Land that was unwanted is now, quote unquote, wanted because they need the property. And over the years, in the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, whatever, it's not just recent. It's been going on for a long time. Meanwhile, at the same time, you'll find a place, I believe they said it was in the same suburb of Clearwater, where there was a Confederate grave. And to this day, that Confederate soldier's grave, still is well kept, still has a Confederate flag, a racist symbol put on it constantly, sits in the middle of a island of traffic where they carved out and left all of those burial sites and put the road around both sides of it. Hello, Jolie. So just the total, inequity of everything. I'm going to play some more of this video.
Where are you on this?
Well, I'm glad Tim Scott's following my lead. I was the first Republican to come out and say that slavery is not a jobs program, and anybody that is implying that there was an upside to slavery is insane. And what is even more shocking to me is that everybody has come out. Ron DeSantis's Department of Education doubled down on this.
So basically, he is correctly calling Governor Ron DeSantis insane because the man is, with this dialogue against teaching the true history of slavery, the true history of all Americans.
Ron DeSantis has doubled down on this multiple times, and he hasn't said, guess what? This is, and then he wants to blame the people that wrote this and say, I wasn't the one that wrote this. Real leadership would have stepped up and said, hey, there is no upside to slavery. Slavery was not a jobs program. Nobody should imply that's what we did, and we're going to change the language. And this would have been done. But this is one more part of a fact pattern of Ron DeSantis being mean and hateful.
Has he disqualified himself?
So basically what we have here is we have a candidate who is calling Ron DeSantis out. The problem is he's too kind and gentle. He's probably not going to win the Republican nomination. In a kindler, gentler time, he would have. But at a kindler, gentler time, we wouldn't be having these discussions. So that's just the nature of it. There is something in here, possibly. Let's see if I can find it. Probably just better to just search for Jack Smith. So, Jack Smith. I'm looking for, oops, well, I put the wrong date. Hang on. I'm looking for what they call these indictments. This is probably a good one. Okay. Hopefully they'll use the language that I was wanting to use that is associated with these latest Trump indictments. So let's see if they do. This is from MSNBC.
NBC News Justice correspondent. He has some breaking news. Ken, fill us in on even more breaking news that's happening in the last minute or so.
So, Katie, the Justice Department Special Counsel's Office has now issued the superseding indictment filed against now 3 defendants, Donald Trump, Walt Nauta, and Carlos de Oliveira. And these include 4 additional charges, and I'm going to read them to you. The superseding indictment adds a new count 32, charging Trump with 1 additional count of willful retention of national defense information. And then the superseding indictment also charges Trump, de Oliveira, and Nauta with 2 new obstruction counts based on allegations that the defendants attempted to delete surveillance footage at the Mar-a-Lago club in the summer of 2022. And finally, the superseding indictment charges de Oliveira with false statements and representations in a voluntary interview with the FBI on January 13th, 2023. So now we need to go into that indictment, which includes the narrative that was in the original indictment, and figure out exactly the facts related to these new charges. But again, Trump is charged in an obstruction of justice conspiracy with new counts of attempting to delete surveillance footage, which adds a deeply significant new dimension to these allegations. Makes it as much about obstruction of justice as it is about retaining classified information, Katie.
Okay, let me bring myself up full screen. So I don't have it with me tonight, but there was a news story that showed that these things were being done, that testimony had been made that the DOJ had obtained that showed that this individual that gave the testimony said that the boss, meaning Trump, had asked for things to be deleted from the server. And that, obviously Nauta is the one that did this stuff. Things were deleted from Trump's server. So Trump has a server. So Trump is always talking about Hillary's server. Well, he's got a server with documents and stuff on it too. How about that? So there will be more charges. And we could just keep showing that video, but that's, unless that video actually shows those things, there's no real reason to just show them talking. Can be beneficial to have the talking heads talk if that's what you want, if you want to see, but at some point, it's better to just tell the story yourself and get the story details out there. Nick Rich laughs and says, acquit his shit? No way. Yeah. No way, Nick Rich. There was a dog barking here, WW, but I'm not really sure. Thanks, Dennis. Isn't it the server for security systems and cameras? Yes, it's probably not documents. It's server for security systems and cameras. That was white. Thank you, Nick Rich. Excuse me. Thank you, Jim the Geek. That is correct. That is what I read. I kind of got it mixed up. So that corrects what I read. That they wanted the security camera footage deleted so that the security camera footage could not show that the documents were moved around. And I'm not sure where I saw that story, but that is the story that I saw. So how are you all doing tonight? What things did you want to talk about? I was supposed to be here for roughly about an hour. I could probably pull up some more stuff for a little while, but as you can see, I'm not 100%. as far as being able to remember everything tonight. And I'm coughing and such. So there is that. I think we determined why I've always been drinking a lot when I've been doing this show, that this has been obviously developing over time. It didn't just pop up on my neck, but thankfully it did pop up on my neck so that some outward sign was there, and I knew that I needed to do something about it. And thankfully, friends, said that you need to go do stuff about this. So that's what's going on. But yeah, in regard to the dog, WW, there was a dog barking here, so I'm not sure where that was. I don't know if that's a dog walking down the street or what, but not in my household. To reiterate, for those who weren't here earlier, we are going to have a different channel when Andrea hosts this show on her equipment, and we're going to get that set up hopefully within the week. And and the reason for that is Andrea will always be able to host the show. I won't have to transfer things back and forth. We won't have a risk that the transfer back and forth doesn't work. And so somewhere in here, up here, the Facebook will be at Freedom Speech and YouTube for Andrea. The YouTube will be at Freedom Speech and YouTube for Andrea. And I'm not certain what the Twitch is, but we will get you the Twitch link, because I don't know if it worked with that long title or if we had to use a different one. But we'll see what the link is, and we'll get you there. And in the beginning, I will post everything so that you know where to find it. So the links are coming, and the knowledge is being transferred for Andrea to how to set it up and run with her new equipment. And she'll be able to present stuff. I will have to figure out how to get the video to her, or maybe make a shorter video just to start the show, or maybe she'll just put up a slide. I don't know what we're going to do. We'll have to see how well social media wants to transfer the video across, or whether I have to get a USB stick from her to get it to her so she can put it in her computer. But I had talked about changing the video last week, but there just wasn't time. And so, you should be able to find us. You might find a few more people. The Facebook page is the older page that I used to use. It does have more followers and subscribers, so they might drop in. I don't know, but you just might see more likes and stuff, and that'll help. And when things get going, maybe we'll get all the usual stuff, the Facebook stars, the YouTube super chats and such. But I'm not really interested in the money. I just want you to enjoy the show. Andrea wants you to enjoy the show, and I want you to have a place to come talk on Sunday nights so that you can discuss these kind of things and have something to talk about, and have somebody really pay attention to you, because the audience is smaller. And that's been the focus of the show from the beginning, is to really be in touch with the audience. So, not to harp on all that, but just to go through that real quick. So should be able to tell you once I know more about my treatment and how it affects me and all that sort of thing. So, everything should work out well. And hopefully everything will go well. Yes, thank you for enjoying the show tonight, Nick Rich. Andrea asked me to do one more show to just kind of talk to you and let you know what's going on. And she had some other things to do tonight. So that was important. So just be able to do what we have to do and keep the show going. I don't know if you have topics or things you want to talk about. The channels will look the same. You know, the logos will look the same. And so that'll be easy to see. Twitter boycott day is Tuesday, August 1st. Yeah. Not really sure about that, you know. We got to, in my case, I have to still use it to get the word out, to make sure that we still get our voices out there. But I know that a lot of you will withdraw from what was Twitter. If something should happen where my channels are taken away on Twitter, you know, because that's what Elon thinks is his idea of freedom, then it'll be that way. But Aaron says, isn't that every day? Andrea says, exit out. Casper says, wishing you a speedy recovery. Thank you, Casper. It's going to be a new experience. Just have to wait and see. Nick Rich is into music tonight. Okay. Well, anyway, if you don't have a lot to talk about, Andrea is going to set up Freedom Speech and You on Threads and Spoutable this week. I have not done that. I have simply set up accounts in my name. So I will let Andrea be the publicist for the Freedom Speech and You on those platforms. And, you know, that way we won't have two of everything. And it'll be easier to know where we are that given evening. So that's what we'll do. So we'll see how everything goes. Twitter still works if your purpose isn't to argue, says Jim. We'll just see. Discord will still be the same, yes. Might have to tweak some stuff on that to allow you more access, Andrea, but I don't know. I thought you were able to post links, but we'll just have to see if everyone else has been seeing what you've been posting and seeing links, because I do. So I don't know if I'm the only one who does and everybody else doesn't. I don't know. Spoutable is fun. The bird is done, says Nick Rich. Yeah. So I wanted to thank Benny Loco for coming on last week with Andrea, and I wanted to thank Dan Boston Brian for coming on to be on the show. That was a nice surprise and just good to have more people on to talk and keep the show up and running, and to add their voices when I couldn't add mine. So I guess since you're not really throwing anything in here, I'm going to go. I really could use the rest. And I will do as I say. I will get Andrea set up for next week. And everything should be able to run and go. And if I feel up to chatting, I will chat in with you. At least maybe for a while. We'll just see how everything goes. But thank you for being my loyal viewers. Thank you to my loyal moderation team and my partner in crime who gets this thing done when I can't, Andrea. Good evening, Jackie. I didn't see you slip in there. Thanks, Cranberoni. So anyway, that's the show for tonight, folks. I don't want to wear myself out. This is taxing right now, and it's going to be taxing later when the treatment starts. So just going to be what it is. So thank you all for coming. Have a good evening. And we'll hopefully get everything set up seamless transition wise, or we'll come up with some alternatives to the video and make it possible. Love you guys. Take care of yourselves. And when something seems like it needs to be looked at, go to the hospital, or at the very least, go to a doctor. Thanks very much. Have a good evening. Talk to you again soon when I can.